The year was 1981. Keddie, a small, tranquil resort town nestled in the Plumas National Forest of Northern California, became the scene of an unspeakable horror. Cabin 28, a rustic dwelling typically filled with laughter and vacation cheer, transformed into a chilling tableau of death. The serenity of the mountain air was shattered, replaced by the whispers of a crime that would haunt the town for decades. The Keddie Cabin Murders remain a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most idyllic settings. The story continues to unfold, a chilling narrative of violence, mystery, and the enduring search for truth. The silence of the pines was broken on the morning of April 12th, when a horrifying discovery was made. What began as a typical day in the sleepy resort town quickly descended into a nightmare. The idyllic image of Keddie, a place where families came to escape the hustle and bustle of city life, was irrevocably tarnished. The events that unfolded within the walls of Cabin 28 would forever change the town, leaving an indelible mark on its history and the lives of its residents. The once peaceful community was now shrouded in a veil of fear and uncertainty. The Keddie Cabin Murders, a name that would become synonymous with tragedy and unanswered questions, began to unfold. A seemingly random act of violence shattered the tranquility of the mountain community, leaving residents in disbelief and fear. The whispers started spreading through the town like wildfire, each retelling adding another layer of fear and speculation. The idyllic mountain resort town was now the center of a horrifying mystery, a puzzle with missing pieces that would continue to baffle investigators for years to come. The story of the Keddie Cabin Murders is not just a tale of a horrific crime, it's a story of a community grappling with the aftermath of unimaginable violence. It's a story of the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of tragedy and the unwavering pursuit of justice, even when the trail grows cold. The whispers in the pines continue to echo, a haunting reminder of the unsolved mystery that continues to grip the town of Keddie. The search for answers continues, a testament to the enduring hope that one day the truth will be revealed. The community remains vigilant, holding on to the belief that justice will eventually prevail and the shadows of the past will be illuminated by the light of truth. Over the years, the case has been revisited by numerous investigators, journalists, and true crime enthusiasts, each hoping to uncover new evidence or insights that could finally solve the mystery. Today, Keddie stands as a town forever marked by its past, but also as a symbol of resilience. The memory of the victims is honored, and the quest for justice continues, driven by the collective will of a community that refuses to forget. The scene that awaited investigators inside Cabin 28 was nothing short of horrific. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves outside. 3 bodies lay lifeless, bound and brutally murdered. The sight was a grim tableau of violence and despair, a scene that would haunt the memories of those who witnessed it. The victims, a mother and 2 of her children, were found in the living room, a gruesome testament to the violence that had taken place within those walls. The room, once a place of family gatherings, was now a silent witness to unspeakable horror. The air was thick with the stench of death, a chilling reminder of the brutal reality of the crime. The odor was overpowering, a physical manifestation of the violence that had occurred. The initial shock of the discovery quickly gave way to a wave of nausea and disbelief. The seasoned investigators who had seen their fair share of crime scenes were unprepared for the level of brutality they encountered. Seasoned law enforcement officers, accustomed to the grim realities of their profession, were visibly shaken by the sheer brutality of the scene. Their faces, usually stoic, now reflected a mix of horror and sorrow. The level of violence inflicted upon the victims was unlike anything they had encountered before. The weapons used, a hammer and a knife, spoke of a rage that was both personal and terrifying. The horrific nature of the crime scene left an indelible mark on the minds of all who witnessed it. The images of the bound and bloodied bodies would linger long after they left the cabin. The details of the crime scene, even in their sanitized form, are enough to send chills down the spine. Bloodstains and overturned furniture told a story of a desperate struggle and unimaginable pain. The victims were bound with medical tape and electrical cords, a chilling indication of the methodical nature of the attack. This was not a crime of passion, but a calculated act of cruelty. The weapons used, a hammer and a knife, added another layer of brutality to the already horrific scene. Each tool of death was a testament to the savagery of the assailant. The sheer savagery of the murders left investigators struggling to comprehend the motive behind such a heinous act. What could drive someone to commit such an atrocity? The discovery of the bodies was just the beginning of a long and arduous investigation. Every piece of evidence collected was a potential clue in unraveling the mystery. The crime scene, with its abundance of physical evidence, held the promise of answers, but also the weight of a heavy burden. Each item bagged and tagged was a step closer to justice, but also a reminder of the lives lost. The investigators knew that their every move, every piece of evidence collected, would be crucial in unraveling the mystery of what happened inside Cabin 28. The pressure to solve the case was immense. The stakes were high, and the search for truth had just begun. The team was determined, knowing that the answers they sought were hidden within the walls of that cabin, waiting to be uncovered. Glenna Sharp, a loving mother of 5, was among the victims found inside Cabin 28. Known for her kind heart and gentle nature, Glenna was the anchor of her family. Her life, tragically cut short, left a void in the hearts of those who knew and loved her. Her presence in the small community of Keddie was deeply missed. John Sharp, Glenna's 15-year-old son, was also a victim of the brutal attack. A typical teenager, John enjoyed spending time with his friends and exploring the outdoors. His dreams and aspirations were cruelly snatched away on that fateful night, leaving a profound sense of loss and sadness among his peers. His absence was a constant reminder of the tragedy that had befallen their community. Dana Wingate, a 12-year-old friend of the Sharp family, was spending the night at the cabin when the murders occurred. A bright and cheerful young girl, Dana was known for her infectious laughter and playful spirit. Her untimely death left a deep scar on the community, a stark reminder of the innocence lost that night. The memory of her vibrant spirit continued to haunt those who knew her. Tina Sharp, Glenna's 12-year-old daughter, was initially missing from the scene, adding another layer of mystery to the already complex case. Her disappearance sparked a frantic search, further intensifying the fear and anxiety that gripped the community. The whereabouts of Tina remained a haunting question that hung over the investigation, a symbol of the unanswered questions that plagued the case. The search for Tina became a desperate race against time. The initial investigation into the Keddie Cabin murders was plagued by a series of missteps and oversights that would ultimately hinder the pursuit of justice. From the very beginning, the case was marred by a lack of proper procedure and attention to detail. The Plumas County Sheriff's Department, a small and understaffed agency, was ill-equipped to handle a crime of this magnitude. The department, accustomed to dealing with minor infractions, found itself overwhelmed by the complexity and brutality of the murders. The lack of resources and experience in dealing with such a complex case proved to be a significant obstacle. Officers were not trained for such high-stakes investigations, and the department lacked the necessary forensic tools and expertise. The investigation from the outset seemed destined to struggle. The initial response was slow, and the subsequent steps taken were often misdirected or poorly executed. The crime scene, though rich with potential evidence, was not properly secured. This oversight allowed for contamination and tampering, which would later complicate the investigation. Crucial pieces of evidence were mishandled or overlooked, compromising the integrity of the investigation. Items that could have provided significant leads were either ignored or improperly cataloged. The lack of a systematic approach to evidence collection and preservation allowed for contamination and the potential loss of vital clues. This disorganization meant that some evidence was never even collected. The errors made in the early stages of the investigation would cast a long shadow over the case. These initial mistakes set a precedent for the mishandling that would continue throughout the investigation. The initial interviews with potential witnesses were conducted haphazardly, and valuable information may have been missed. Witnesses were not properly questioned, and their statements were not thoroughly vetted. The lack of a clear protocol for interviewing witnesses led to inconsistencies and conflicting accounts, further muddying the waters of the investigation. These discrepancies made it difficult to piece together a coherent narrative of the events. The failure to thoroughly document these interviews would later prove to be a critical flaw in the case. Without proper records, it was nearly impossible to verify the accuracy of witness statements. The missed opportunities to gather crucial information early on would haunt the investigation for years to come. Each missed lead represented a potential breakthrough that was never realized. The lack of communication and coordination between different law enforcement agencies involved in the investigation further exacerbated the problems. Agencies failed to share information, leading to duplicated efforts and missed connections. The fragmented approach to the case resulted in duplicated efforts and a lack of clarity regarding the overall direction of the investigation. This disorganization meant that critical information was often lost or overlooked. The absence of a unified command structure created confusion and hindered the progress of the case. Without clear leadership, the investigation floundered, and crucial decisions were delayed or poorly made. The initial investigation, hampered by a series of errors and oversights, ultimately failed to bring the perpetrators to justice. The legacy of these mistakes would linger, casting a shadow over the case for decades.